All right, let's dive right into this explainer and begin our sprint toward the future. Today, we're exploring futurist Ray Kurzweil's roadmap for human evolution over the next 2 decades, all based on his latest book, The Singularity is Near. He maps out exactly how artificial intelligence, biotechnology, and nanotechnology are about to radically change what it means to be human. It's a fascinating, honestly, mind-bending journey, so let's get right into it.
So what if you only had to survive until the 2030s to literally live forever? Crazy, right? It sounds completely like science fiction. But this provocative question is the tantalizing core premise of Kurzweil's timeline-driven predictions. Think about it. If you can make it just a few more years in good health, the scientific advancements rolling out could fundamentally pause and eventually reverse human aging. But to understand how we could possibly get there so fast, we really have to understand the foundational engine driving this entire train.
Section 1. The Engine. The Law of Accelerating Returns.
Okay, so this concept is absolutely crucial to grasp if we want to understand our transition from a linear past into our exponential present. The Law of Accelerating Returns, or LAR for short, states that information technologies get exponentially better and cheaper because each advance makes it easier to design the next stage of its own evolution. You know, human intuition naturally thinks linearly. We just kind of expect tomorrow's progress to look exactly like yesterday's. But technological progress is actually explosive. It operates on these massive positive feedback loops. Better computers allow us to design even better, faster computers, which then allow us to sequence DNA faster, which then helps us cure diseases. It is a wildly accelerating cycle.
And when you look at the price performance of computation since 1939, you see this perfect straight line on a logarithmic scale. Now, a straight upward line on a log scale actually means explosive multiplying growth in the real world. To put this into a completely staggering perspective for you, one constant dollar today buys about 11,200 times more computing power than it did back in 2005. And 2005 is when Kurzweil wrote his previous book. It's this relentless compounding power that keeps his seemingly wild predictions right on schedule.
Moving on to Section 2, 2029, and the arrival of artificial general intelligence.
Let's pull the timeline forward to the first major chronological milestone on Kurzweil's roadmap. Now, before we totally scoff at the year 2029 being just around the corner, we really should look at his track record. He claims that out of 147 predictions he's made in the age of machines, 86% were correct to the year. Pretty wild, right? In 1990, he famously predicted a computer would beat a human chess champion by the year 2000. And that happened in 1997 when IBM's Deep Blue defeated Garry Kasparov. Then, way back in 1999, he planted a firm flag in the year 2029 for AGI to pass a valid Turing test. While experts previously thought this wouldn't happen until, maybe 2060, recent breakthroughs in large language models have actually caused expert forecasters to align almost exactly with Kurzweil's 2029 timeline.
Now, the real key here is distinguishing between the impressive AI we have today and the stringent definition of AGI expected in 2029. Human-level AI matches the most skilled humans in very specific, narrow domains, like, say, writing Oscar-winning screenplays, passing bar exams, or diagnosing cancer. But artificial general intelligence? That means a machine can do everything that any human can do, but to a superior level in all fields simultaneously. We are talking about an intellect that's as smart as the absolute top experts in law, medicine, science, engineering, and art, all rolled into one single entity.
Of course, we aren't quite there yet. Current models, like GPT-4 and Gemini, have to clear a few major roadblocks by 2029. First, they need to expand contextual memory so they don't just forget earlier inputs because of token limits. Second, they have to develop actual common sense reasoning about how the real world works. Third, they really need to master social interaction, including all those tricky nuances like tone of voice and humor, which definitely aren't always well represented in text. And crucially, they have to eliminate AI hallucinations. That's when models confidently just invent false information because they don't know the right answer. Overcoming all of this requires immense computing power, which, as we saw earlier, is predictably growing.
Which brings us to Section 3, the 2030s, in longevity escape velocity.
80. Yeah, 80. That is the actual number of pills Ray Kurzweil takes every single day. Why? Well, because his first plan for immortality is simply to stay alive long enough to reach the next technological era. He's actively trying to keep his biology healthy enough to intercept the incredible medical breakthroughs he knows are coming down the pipeline. Let's see how this builds into direct impacts on human biology over the next decade.
So how exactly does this biological roadmap work? What is the path to what he calls longevity escape velocity?
Well, first, right now in the 2020s, advanced AI is driving major pharmaceutical and nutritional discoveries by essentially simulating biology digitally. Second, this exponential scientific progress begins actually curing the biochemical processes that cause aging. Finally, by the early 2030s, we reach step 3, longevity escape velocity. This is the ultimate tipping point. It's when every calendar year that passes, scientific progress adds more than a year to your remaining life expectancy. The sands of time basically start running in rather than out.
Section 4, 2045. The Singularity arrives. And this brings us to the climax of our chronological journey. It's the ultimate sci-fi destination of Kurzweil's thesis. He says, we are going to expand intelligence 1,000,000-fold by 2045. Just let the staggering scale of that quote sink in for a second. The singularity isn't just about computers getting really, really fast. It's the exact moment when biological human intelligence and cybernetic machine intelligence fully merge into one hybrid entity. At this point, our minds will no longer be limited by the biological enclosure of our skulls.
So how does this actually work mechanically? Well, it basically involves drinking the nanobot Kool-Aid. Microscopic robots, literally the size of molecules, will be introduced non-invasively into our brains through our capillaries. They'll connect the top levels of our biological neocortex directly to cloud-based computation. This brain-computer interface will unlock unprecedented abstract thought and co-creation. It'll even allow us to create digital replicants, effectively backing up our minds the exact same way we back up our hard drives today. It's a profound, fundamental redefinition of human consciousness.
Section 5, Perils and Promises.
Now, I know exactly what some of you are thinking. This sounds inherently dangerous. And honestly, Kurzweil entirely agrees. While the promises are incredibly utopian, there are massive perils that could completely derail humanity before we ever even reach the singularity. We still face the proliferation of nuclear weapons. There's the very real threat of the misuse of biotechnology leading to engineered, devastating pandemics. We have to worry about a runaway chain reaction of self-replicating nanotechnology, and of course, the risk of unaligned superintelligent AI that decides it just doesn't share our values. These are incredibly serious roadblocks that require careful planning, strict ethical guidelines, and robust technological safeguards if we actually want to survive our own exponential growth.
So, to wrap up this explainer, I really want to leave you with a final thought to ponder. We are currently sprinting through the absolute steepest part of the technological curve in all of human history. The technology to radically expand our lifespan and exponentially increase our intelligence is accelerating right before our eyes, all driven by the law of accelerating returns. The only question left is, when 2045 rolls around, are you ready to merge your mind with the cloud? Thanks so much for learning with me today, and keep questioning the future.